Welcome to another Recruitment Tech Podcast. In this episode, I speak to Martyn Redstone, the founder of pplbots and an expert on all things chatbots and conversational AI. He is also one of the main keynote speakers at the Recruitment Tech Event on November 2nd in Utrecht. Welcome, Martyn. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Jasper. Thanks for having me.
So, artificial intelligence and recruitment. It's been a quite few years, hasn't it?
It's been, it's been crazy kind of since the end of last year, obviously with the launch of ChatGPT, and it's really interesting because everybody's now kind of really laser focused on AI. Everybody's talking about it. Some people don't even believe that AI existed before November last year. So yes, it's interesting times, as they say, interesting times.
So tell me more about what you do with your AI. You have an AI consultancy called pplbots. Tell me more about that.
That's right. So I've been a conversational AI consultant for the last several years. I've been in the recruitment industry for the last 18 years, working in recruitment tech. For most of that time, 6 years ago, I started working with conversational AI, fell in love with it, and really focused on that, helping recruiters strategize, build, implement, launch, and manage chatbots, conversational AI solutions, voice bots, all those kind of things. And then obviously, as part of my work, a few years ago, when people like Meta, Facebook, or whatever you want to call them nowadays, and also OpenAI started launching kind of large language models in Google and what have you, and this was 3-4 years ago. So we started using them in conversational AI solutions, but nobody really realized that. So obviously, several months ago, when OpenAI kind of came out in public with ChatGPT, and everybody went crazy over ChatGPT and large language models, it was a great place to be because I understand them. I've been working with them, and so expanded the consultancy out into kind of a wider AI consultancy because people started saying, do you know what? We want to do something with AI. We don't understand it. We think we need to be there. So just started offering out consulting solutions for recruiters who want to start investigating the applications and opportunities that AI can bring to recruitment and talent acquisition.
Sure. So delving into that, because you have had sort of front row tickets to all of this, because you've been working within that industry for a number of years now, and while generative AI may now be a word that people are used to, 5 years ago people wouldn't have a clue. So how would you describe the role of AI increasing in recruitment, and why is it such an essential skill then for recruiters?
It's a really good question. So I think what's really interesting is that AI has been there for a long time. And what we're looking at now is this kind of period of generative AI. We're used to AI in recruitment systems, which we probably don't even know about. Things like CV parsing, resume parsing, that's natural language processing alongside some machine learning. So it is technically AI. And we see it with skills matching, with candidate searching, with sourcing, those kind of things. It happens. AI is there already.
Yeah.
What we're really excited about is this whole thing called generative AI, which nobody was talking about a year ago. It's the kind of, if I was in charge of Merriam-Webster, it would be the word of the year, alongside Copilot. But a word of the year is generative AI. And it does exactly that. It's exactly as it says on the tin. It's about generating new pieces of content usually from a natural language prompt, as we're seeing nowadays. So I type something in, something is generated, whether it's text through ChatGPT or Bard, or whether it's an image through DALL-E or through Midjourney, a new piece of content gets created through a natural language prompt. So that's why everyone's really excited about it, because I think it's just it's created this kind of very, very magic thing about AI. My goodness, it can create something really cool that I just asked it to. It can create a job advert. It can create interview prompts. It can create new marketing material, all those kind of things. But why is it the essential skill? Well, I think one of the things that I'm going to be honing in on my talk at the Recruitment Tech Event is how conversations are the new recruiter skill, not just AI, but conversations with AI.
Okay.
So obviously my background, as I mentioned earlier, is conversational AI, and that's all about we can have natural language conversations with computers and they can talk back to us um, in a very natural way. And so that's something that everybody was a bit like, oh, don't like chatbots, don't like conversational AI. And then ChatGPT came along and it showed just what you could do with natural language and has really got everybody used to having a conversation with a piece of software, because that's what people are doing with ChatGPT. They're having a conversation with it. So now everybody's talking about prompt engineering, prompt designing, all those kind of things, and everybody's some kind of expert when it comes to prompting. But it's exactly that. It's not even about being an expert in prompting. It's about taking away this binary thought process of it's a machine. I need to shout very loudly and very clearly in very simple language to get something to do something. You don't. You need to understand how to have a conversation. And so that is the essential skill that recruiters will have in the future, because in the future, the technology they use, the software that they use will be driven not by prompting, but by conversing. We talk about co-pilots being this kind of new thing, and the new way that humans will interact with computers around them will be through co-pilots, through natural language interfaces, whether that be typing into an interface, whether that be speaking into an interface. That is what we're going to see in the future when it comes to the world around us and the technology we use. So having a conversation with the machine is absolutely the essential skill of the future for recruiters.
Awesome. I'll ask a bit of a AI devil's advocate question here.
Sure.
So recently Gartner published its AI hype cycle for, I think, the first time in a few years, and placed generative AI firmly at the top of the cycle, essentially saying, right, this is the phase where it's gone completely nuts, but slowly it'll dip and something else will happen to the space of AI, essentially. What's your view on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You're quite right. I saw that as well. I think it was released a couple of weeks ago now. So what they've placed generative AI right at the top of the peak of inflated expectations. That's what they call it.
Yep.
And that's what we are. We have these massive expectations about generative AI, and that it could do everything for us, and that it is it's literally a step behind general artificial intelligence, and it's going to take over the world. And what we're going to see very quickly, not even slowly, but what we're going to see very quickly, as you know, on the Gartner hype cycle, is this plummeting into this valley of disillusionment.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they call it, because all of a sudden you get really disillusioned because it doesn't live up to your hype. And that's what we're going to see really, really quickly. And that's because people are going to realize, exactly as I mentioned earlier, that ultimately it's what we're looking at with ChatGPT, with Bard, with Claude, with all those other kind of text-based generative AIs, is that it's a very, very clever algorithm that can predict with high probability what word comes next in a sentence. And it can do that for natural language, it can do that for coding, do it for some other things. But ultimately, that's what it is. It's not there to rule the world. It's not there to do everything for you, to take over, to automate, to replace people. That's what it does. And once we understand that, we're going to be really, really, really disappointed with it. And we're going to just plummet into this trough of disillusionment. But then what happens after that is slowly, it comes up into this plateau of productivity, basically. Yeah. And so it becomes part of our everyday toolkit, where actually we're not hyping about it, we're not disappointed about it, we're just using it.
We're just using it.
Everyday. Yeah. And that's what we're going to see. And the more we see generative AI integrated into our systems, so whether that be an ATS or a CRM that allows you to, through very, very quickly, one click, create job adverts, or whether that be enabled to give you a resume, or whether that be a piece of interview intelligence software that gives you that summary of the interview, you'll see that very much embedded into systems. And so it will just become that plateau of productivity. It'll be there, it will help us, it will help make us more productive, but we won't be hyping about it, we won't be really disillusioned about it. We'll realize just exactly what it's there for, and ultimately that it's going to make us a lot more productive.
Right. I think increased productivity is the easiest way there. Another question that I have for you is, when you talk about AI, I feel like there's sort of two camps. There's the camp that's saying, right, we've always been talking about AI. AI is being used in so many ways within the recruitment process. You might not be aware of it, but it's been there for years. I think you're firmly in that camp. And on the other hand, there's these people that, since the rise of generative AI have said, have sort of only talking about generative AI as being, the one solution, and they're sort of pretending to be prompt experts. And, if there's people, and I'm thinking, right, if I've not heard you talk about AI for years, why all of a sudden are you now proclaiming to be the AI expert? But putting that aside, what's the danger there? Because there's sort of two camps, and everyone's talking about essentially the same stuff, but it doesn't feel like they're talking about the same thing.
There's nothing like jumping on the bandwagon, is there?
Yeah.
It's look, I think in our world especially, we go through so many things that impact the world of recruitment, whether that be AWR 10 years ago, or whether that be GDPR back in 2018, or all those kind of lovely things that happen continuously. And over here in the UK, we've had lots of regulation that means that we have to do things, IR35, etc. And so what tends to happen with any of these kind of massive leaps in ways that we have to change our mindset to do things is that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get all of these experts that are just doing it for an increase in profile, an increase in clicks, an increase in engagement on LinkedIn, all those kind of things. So unfortunately, it's up to the discerning recruiter to almost kind of separate the important stuff from the chaff. And nobody wants to see any more ChatGPT cheat sheets. Nobody wants to see anything of that kind of stuff, because it's all just a load of nonsense.
They're out there.
They're all out there, and so, I think what you'll see is that there are practitioners out there, like myself and like other people who have been working with this technology for several years, who aren't going out there, aren't getting, aren't trying to hype everyone up. We're just trying to say, look, let me educate you, let me talk to you about it. Let me explain, like you said, it's been here for a while. This is new, this is exciting. Let me hold your hand and take you through it, rather than just, slamming things in people's faces and going, buy my rubbish, click on my socials, because I think you can hopefully tell the difference between the two types of people, by those kind of experiences that you see, unfortunately, on social media. And all they're doing, and when you ask about the dangers are, and I say this, and I say this a lot, I feel like my responsibility in all of this is all about good education.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened, 6 years ago, and still happens when it comes to conversational AI, and it's happening generative AI. For me, I spend a lot of my time educating, a lot of my time helping people navigate this, rather than just, hoping that people click on my social media stuff, because I don't really care about that. I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I'm not spending all of my time creating content just to generate likes and clicks and what have you. For me, I spend time working with the tools. I spend time demonstrating the tools, time then educating about the tools, because I'm a practitioner. I still work with AI. I'm hands on with it every day, whether it be conversational AI, generative AI, or other tools. I'm a practitioner. I'm hands on with it. My background's in technology, so I think the risk is creating the hype that we're seeing right now, and also scaring people, because there's so much going on every day. There's some news about generative AI, but it can create a lot of feeling of being overwhelmed and feel like you might be missing out, but you're actually not. The vast majority of people want to understand it more, but trust me, the vast amount of people aren't doing anything just yet. Look, we saw yesterday OpenAI announced the enterprise version of ChatGPT. So there's going to be a lot more opportunity for recruitment teams to start using these kind of things officially as part of their jobs within the enterprise. But it's about educating and helping people give them the knowledge to be able to explore further themselves as well.
As a practitioner of AI for a number of years, then, what do you see as sort of the main capabilities for recruiters? So if I were a recruiter and I were to walk up to you and say, Martyn, I need 3 ways to somehow introduce AI into my work process. I don't know much about it. What would you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think if we're talking, and again, when we talk about AI, that's such a vast field,
Yeah,
So I think what we need to, and the process that I take, my clients through is very much, look, let's as a group work out where your biggest challenges are in your job, in your role, in your processes, even in your organization as a whole. And a lot of the time that comes up with, 5 to 10 areas that they want to concentrate on to improve. And then we say, okay, well, look, let's see if we can map in using technology, or whether it just be good process, or whether it just be, people. There's lots of different ways that you can solve challenges. When it comes to AI, absolutely, most of the time, recruiters, well, I think not even recruiters, but let's think about recruiters. But people, we are just people ultimately, and that means that we have a finite amount of time and resource and brain power that we can dedicate
sure.
to things. So I always use the stat 53. I have a great slide that just has the number 53 on it. Might crack it out for the Recruitment Tech event. And what that 53 is the theoretical maximum number of screening conversations a recruiter could have in one day. If they worked from 8 till 6, they had no breaks, no lunch, and all they were doing was screening, were picking up the phone and having a screening conversation with a new applicant to one of their roles. That's 53. It's 53 a day.
Okay.
Now, if you think about a recruiter having a large number of requisitions they're working on, not just one, not just 5, not just 10, sometimes, dozens upon dozens they're working all at the same time.
Yeah.
And the sheer number of applications that come in, you then realize that recruiters are facing an uphill battle in giving each and every one of those applicants the time it deserves. And that's why we hear about the ghosting horror stories and all those kind of things. And it's not a recruiter's fault. We are people, and we only have a limited amount of resource that we can dedicate to things.
Yeah.
However, throw AI into the mix, it's not a person, it's a machine. It doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, and it can do multiple things all at the same time. So that 53 can become 530, 5,300, 53,000, 5.3 million. It can go and go and go. It is, infinite in the resource that it can throw at things. So that's what I say. Think about the areas in your work that are time draining, that are robotic, that are repetitive, and that take you away from being a productive business partner to your hiring managers. Screening conversations, scheduling, sending out emails and follow-ups and messaging and all those kind of things. Everything that can be automated should be automated. And that's where we bring in the opportunity for AI, not only to automate, because you don't need AI to automate, but to automate in a personalized and productive way.
And then it's good for you to bring up the screening part, because I think screening is probably going to be the thing that can be automated first. Sort of the first pre-screening phase. It makes a lot of sense to not have a person pick up the phone, every 3 minutes. At the same time, those wary of the power of AI may say, right, why are we making AI a decision maker? Has AI sort of earned the role of being a decision maker, even if it were just screening out the first initial phase of candidates? Is what would you say?
So there's a couple of things. Firstly, AI will never be the decision maker, and the GDPR stops that, as well as the upcoming EU Artificial Intelligence Act as well. AI won't be the decision maker; it will just make a decision based on the instructions you give it. So, so it will still be your decision, but it'll be your decision replicated as an algorithm. So the biggest pushback that I get from people isn't, should we be letting AI make a decision, because we can deal with that. It's actually, people don't want to talk to chatbots. People don't want to talk to machines. People don't want to talk to AI. They recruitment's a very person-oriented, process. People like to talk to people. And I'm sorry to say this, it's a load of rubbish, and people hate me saying it, and I would say it time and time again. There are so many things that I can show you, examples that I can show you where people are more than happy not talking to people. I like to use the automated checkout services. And we think about checking out the store. You go into a shop, you want to buy something. In the old days, you had to queue up at a till, you had to wait to be served by a person. Again, it's a finite amount of time. Somebody sitting there beeping, moving things across very slowly.
Having a friendly conversation. Yeah.
I was just about to say, having that chat with that person in front of them. Haven't seen you in here for dinner for one, all that kind of stuff. and it just and you're sitting there in the queue. You're standing there in the queue, just thinking, "Come on! I just want a sandwich for my lunch. Why is it taking so long?" And then they opened up the self-service tills where people then queued up and just did it themselves, and it meant that they could fit more into a smaller amount of space. They could process people a lot quicker. And now and then that showed that people didn't care about having a conversation with the person behind the till, going through that manual process, etc., etc. And then you take it one step further, and now we're seeing stores where there's not even tills; it's just AI watching you using Vision AI, working out exactly what you've picked up and put in your bag, and then you can just walk out the store and it gets charged to your account. And that in a space of 20 years, not even 15 years, is the evolution of automating something that's a very manual human process and showing that actually people just don't care. They want efficiency, and they want convenience. And that is the human thought process, and they want that with the recruitment process as well. They want that with their experience. They are consumers. Candidates are consumers. They are not some special subsect of the human species. They are the same people that go out there and they shop in supermarkets, and they buy on Amazon, and they order their shoes online now because they can have their phone showing them what they look like on their feet and all those kind of things. They have the same expectations of the recruitment process. Consumer grade recruitment process means consumer grade experiences. And so it's about convenience, and it's about efficiency, and it's about agency and being able to do it at a time and place they want, at a speed they want. And so stop worrying about you being involved in the process and start worrying about giving your candidates a consumer grade experience.
So if we were to look back on everything in a few years, so we're now at the peak of inflated expectation, say in 5 years from now, AI in recruitment, is that going to be a happy marriage, or is the honeymoon phase over and are we slowly heading towards a divorce?
It's a great question. Look, with every technological advancement that happens in the world, it takes some time to embed it properly into our processes. So I think when we look back in 5 years' time, we'll only just be starting to really use co-pilots, because co-pilots are based on data, and sometimes our data is in a terrible state in recruitment. so the next 2 to 3 years is all about making sure your data is ready for AI and that your organization is ready for AI. But in 5 years' time, we'll be looking back and going, first of all, I don't know what I was getting so excited about, but also this stuff's great and it's really helping me. The people that are going to look back with absolute disappointment are the people that don't adopt it, because AI isn't going to replace recruiters, but recruiters using AI are certainly going to take over recruiters not using AI. So we need to bear that in mind. So it's about using the tools productively and responsibly, but also making sure the tools that you're using and that you're delivering out into your process are providing the best experience they can do as well. And we'll look back 5 years' time, we'll think these were the golden years of transformation. We've transformed our processes into something that's efficient, that we're happy to work in an organization as a recruiter. Our employee experience is elevated because of it, but we've also elevated the candidate experience as well. And in 5 years' time, we'll have something new that will excite us. We'll have optimization AI, that will excite us about being able to work out exactly where somebody should be within an organization. So we'll be thinking about generative AI as old-fashioned, because we'll be getting excited about other AI.
Plenty of work ahead then.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, Martyn. I very much look forward to hearing more from you on November 2nd. Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.